Have you ever seen a building so big, it feels like it could touch the sky? Now imagine that same giant building, completely empty. No people, no noise, just silence. All over the world, there are massive megastructures, huge stadiums, towers, and cities that once showed the power and dreams of humans. But today, they stand abandoned, broken, and forgotten. Some were left behind because of war, some because people ran out of money, and some were just too strange or too dangerous to live in. Yet even after years, or even centuries, these places are still standing today. Like ghosts of the past, they remind us how powerful humans can be, and how fast everything can disappear. In this video, we'll travel across the world to see 15 of the biggest, most shocking abandoned megastructures ever built. From an empty city made for 1 million people, to a floating airport that never took flight, and even a super stadium where no one came to cheer. Each one hides its own secret story, full of mystery, history, and forgotten dreams. So grab your flashlight, because we're about to step inside the world's most massive abandoned places still standing today. Let's begin. Buzludzha Monument. High up in the mountains of Bulgaria, there's a strange round building that looks like a flying saucer. It's called the Buzludzha Monument, and it was once one of the most important buildings in the country. It was built in 1981 to honor the country's communist leaders, the people who once ruled Bulgaria. From far away, the building looks like a giant spaceship that landed on a mountain. It has a tall tower with a red star on top and wide, round walls made of concrete. Inside, there used to be shiny floors, big red flags, and colorful mosaics showing powerful leaders and workers. People came from all over Bulgaria to see it. It was a symbol of pride and power. But when the government changed, the building was left behind. The red star went dark, and the rooms filled with dust and silence. Today, the wind whistles through broken windows and snow covers the old floors. The mosaics still sparkle under the light, even though parts of them have fallen. Visitors who hike up the mountain say it feels like walking into another world. It's cold, quiet, and eerie, like time stopped long ago. Even though it's falling apart, the Buzludzha Monument still stands strong, reminding everyone of a time that's gone forever. Hashima Island. Off the coast of Japan, there's a tiny island that looks like a ghost city floating in the sea. It's called Hashima Island, but many people know it as Battleship Island because it looks like a giant warship made of concrete. Over 100 years ago, the island was full of life. In the early 1900s, workers came here to mine coal from deep under the sea. Families lived in tall, gray buildings packed tightly together. It was one of the first places in Japan to have concrete apartments, schools, and even a movie theater. At its peak, more than 5,000 people lived on this tiny island, which is smaller than a football field. But when Japan switched from coal to oil in the 1970s, the mines closed. Within weeks, everyone left. Boats took the people away, and the island was left to the wind, waves, and birds. Today, Hashima Island stands empty, with broken walls and dark windows staring out to sea. The once busy streets are silent, and the ocean crashes against its walls day and night. Nature is slowly taking it back. Plants grow through cracks in the concrete, and the sound of seagulls echoes where children once played. In 2015, UNESCO made Hashima Island a World Heritage Site, meaning it's protected as a piece of history. It's also famous because it was used as a movie location in James Bond's Skyfall, though no one lives there now. Hashima Island still stands tall, a quiet memory of Japan's industrial past, frozen in time above the sea. The Ryugyong Hotel. In the middle of Pyongyang, the capital city of North Korea, stands a giant pyramid made of glass and steel. It's called the Ryugyong Hotel, and it's one of the tallest empty buildings in the world. The hotel was supposed to be a symbol of pride. Construction began in 1987, and the plan was to make it the biggest, most luxurious hotel in all of Asia, with over 3,000 rooms, restaurants, and even spinning floors with amazing views. For a while, it looked like North Korea was building a modern wonder. In 1992, the country's economy collapsed, and all the workers left. The half-built hotel stood empty, a giant concrete triangle towering over the city, unfinished and unused. People started calling it the Hotel of Doom. Years later, in 2008, construction began again. They covered it with shiny glass panels, making it look new and futuristic. But even after that, the inside was never completed. To this day, no one has ever stayed a night in it. The Ryugyong Hotel still dominates the skyline, its sharp peak cutting into the clouds. At night, colorful lights sometimes glow across its surface, but the rooms inside are dark and empty. For more than 30 years, this megastructure has stood as both a dream and a mystery. A building that was meant to show power, but instead became a silent monument to what could have been. It's strange, beautiful, and haunting. A true ghost skyscraper still standing in the heart of a living city. The Pontiac Silverdome. In Michigan, USA, there once stood a giant stadium that could hold more than 80,000 people. It was called the Pontiac Silverdome, and for many years, it was one of the biggest and most famous stadiums in the world. The Silverdome opened in 1975 and became home to the Detroit Lions, a professional football team. It wasn't just for sports. Huge concerts and even wrestling matches happened there. Famous singers like Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, and the Rolling Stones performed under its roof. People came from all over America to see their favorite stars inside the Silverdome. What made it special was its massive white roof, made from fabric and air pressure. It looked like a giant balloon covering the stadium. But over time, the Silverdome began to age. The teams moved to newer places, and the events stopped. By the early 2000s, the Silverdome was almost forgotten. In 2013, a huge storm tore a hole in the roof. Rain and snow poured inside, turning the field into a swamp. Seats were ripped out, weeds grew through the floor, and wild animals began to live there. From the outside, it still looked powerful, but inside it was falling apart. People who visited said it felt like walking into a dream from the past. You could almost hear the crowd cheering and music echoing through the empty halls. The Silverdome was finally demolished in 2017, but parts of it still remain. Broken pieces of concrete, steel, and memories of glory. Even though it's gone, the name Silverdome still stands as a symbol of how even the biggest places can be forgotten by time. Pripyat Amusement Park. In the quiet city of Pripyat, Ukraine, stands an amusement park that never really opened. It was supposed to be full of laughter, music, and happy families, but instead it became one of the saddest and most famous abandoned places on Earth. The park was built in 1986, and everything was ready. Colorful rides, a tall Ferris wheel, bumper cars, and game booths. It was planned to open on May 1st for a big celebration, but just a few days before that, something terrible happened. On April 26, 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear disaster shook the world. A nearby power plant exploded, releasing deadly radiation into the air. The people of Pripyat had to leave their homes right away. They left their cars, toys, and pets, everything. The amusement park never got its opening day. The bright yellow Ferris wheel still stands tall, but it's rusted and silent. The bumper cars are covered in moss, and grass grows through the cracks in the ground. The wind moves the broken swings, and the place feels frozen in time. Today, only a few people, wearing protective suits, visit Pripyat. It's a ghost city where nature has taken over. Trees grow through buildings, and animals roam freely where families once walked. The amusement park has become a symbol of what was lost, a place of joy turned into a haunting reminder of one of history's worst disasters. Even though no one lives there anymore, the giant Ferris wheel still turns slowly in the wind, whispering stories of a city that vanished overnight. The Sanji UFO houses. In northern Taiwan, there once stood a strange and colorful village that looked like it came from the future, or maybe even from outer space. These odd round homes were called the Sanji UFO houses because they looked exactly like flying saucers. They were built in the late 1970s near the beach in a town called Sanji. The plan was to make a fancy vacation spot for rich people and travelers. Each home was shaped like a pod, round, smooth, and raised off the ground, painted in bright colors like blue, yellow, and pink. When all the pods were finished, they would have looked like a colony on another planet. But something strange happened. Workers started saying the place was cursed. Many accidents happened during construction, and people began to believe the land was haunted. The project was stopped before it was done, and the houses were left empty. For years, the Sanji UFO houses stood quietly watching over the sea. Their windows were broken, the paint faded, and vines crawled up the walls. Even though no one lived there, visitors came from all over the world to see the ghost UFO village. It became a famous spot for photographers and explorers. Sadly, in 2010, the government decided to tear them down. Now only memories and photos remain of those strange, space-like homes. Still, people who saw them will never forget how magical and mysterious they looked, like a dream of the future that was left behind. The Sanji UFO houses may be gone, but their story still floats in the air, a reminder that even the wildest ideas can fade away. The city of Ordos. In the middle of the desert in Inner Mongolia, China, lies a huge modern city with tall buildings, wide roads, and shining lights. But there's one strange thing about it. Almost no one lives there. This empty city is called Ordos, also known as the Ghost City of China. The government built Ordos in the early 2000s, hoping it would become a home for 1 million people. They planned schools, parks, museums, and beautiful homes. Everything was new and modern. It looked like the city of the future. But when it was finished, people didn't move in. The houses were too expensive and jobs were hard to find. Slowly, the dream city became empty. The streets stayed clean, the buildings stood tall, but there were no cars, no children, children, and no noise. Imagine walking through a city where every traffic light works, but there's no one crossing the road. You can see big shopping malls with no shoppers and playgrounds with no kids. At night, the streetlights glow, but only the wind and dust move through the streets. Today, a few people live there, but most of Ordos is still quiet. The government has tried many times to bring life back, but it remains mostly empty, like a giant movie set waiting for actors who never came. From above, the city looks beautiful and perfect, yet hauntingly silent. It's one of the world's largest modern megastructures, built with hope, but now standing as a ghost of what could have been. The city of Ordos reminds us that even the grandest dreams can sometimes be too big for reality. The Sagrada Familia. In the heart of Barcelona, Spain, stands one of the most beautiful, yet unfinished, buildings in the world. It's called the Sagrada Familia, a giant church that looks like a castle made of dreams. The famous artist and architect Antoni Gaudí began building it in 1882. He wanted it to be a masterpiece, full of tall towers, curved walls, and carvings that told stories from the Bible. Every part of it has deep meaning, with shapes inspired by nature, trees, shells, and even honeycombs. But Gaudí knew it would take a very long time to finish. He once said, "My client is not in a hurry," meaning that he was building it for God, so time didn't matter. After Gaudí's death in 1926, other architects tried to finish his work, but wars and lack of money slowed everything down. Today, more than 140 years later, the Sagrada Familia still isn't complete. Cranes rise high above its towers and workers carefully add new stones each year. Tourists from all over the world visit to see it. Even though it's not done yet, the church has 18 towers, and when finished, it will be the tallest religious building in the world. Even though it's still under construction, people already call it one of the greatest megastructures ever built. At sunset, its golden walls glow like fire, and music from nearby streets fills the air. It's a living building, it's a part old, part new, standing proudly as a reminder that beauty sometimes takes centuries to complete. The Sagrada Familia is proof that even unfinished dreams can still be masterpieces. Bannerman's Castle. In the middle of the Hudson River in New York, there's a tiny island with the ruins of a castle on it. From far away, it looks like something out of a fairy tale. Tall towers, stone walls, and windows open to the sky. But this isn't a royal castle. It's called Bannerman's Castle, and its story is full of surprises. Over 100 years ago, a man named Francis Bannerman owned a military store in New York City. He bought and sold old weapons and ammunition from wars. Soon, his shop got too full, so he needed a safe place to keep his supplies. In 1901, he bought a small island called Paulapel Island and started building a huge castle there. Not for living, but for storage. He designed it himself, using bricks and stones, adding towers and walls to make it look grand. He even wrote his name across the front in big letters. Bannerman's Island Arsenal. For a while, it worked. Boats brought boxes of gunpowder, cannons, and rifles to the island. But in 1920, an explosion destroyed part of the castle and the Bannerman family stopped using it. Then storms, fire, and time did the rest. Today the castle is mostly ruins. Walls cracked, towers leaning, vines wrapping around its stones. Still, it stands proudly on the island, watching over the river. Tourists can visit by boat and walk along the paths to see what's left. Even broken, Bannerman's Castle feels magical, like a ghost from another time. It's a forgotten fortress that reminds us how even the strongest walls can fall, but their stories never fade. Michigan Central Station. In the city of Detroit, Michigan, there's a giant train station that once buzzed with life and noise. It's called Michigan Central Station, and when it first opened in 1913, it was one of the biggest and grandest train stations in the world. Back then, thousands of travelers walked through its tall doors every day. Inside, the ceiling stretched high above the floor like a cathedral. Marble walls, giant windows, and golden lights made it feel like a palace for trains. People arrived in fancy clothes, carrying luggage, saying goodbye or hello to loved ones. But as years passed, the trains stopped coming. Cars and airplanes became more popular and fewer people traveled by rail. By the 1980s, the station closed its doors. It became quiet, empty hallways, broken glass, and echoes of the past. For decades, Michigan Central Station stood like a sleeping giant in the middle of Detroit. Its tall windows were shattered, and weeds grew through the cracks in the floor. Pigeons lived where ticket booths used to be, and graffiti covered the once beautiful walls. Still, the building never fell. People loved it too much to tear it down. In 2018, the Ford Motor Company decided to save it, turning it into a modern office and tech space. Now, workers are carefully fixing it, piece by piece, while keeping its grand history alive. Even though it's being rebuilt, the station still feels haunted by memories of trains, travelers, and the golden age of railroads. It's a perfect example of how great megastructures never truly die. They just wait for someone to bring them back to life. Chateau Miranda. Hidden deep inside the forests of Belgium, there once stood a fairy tale-like castle called Chateau Miranda, also known as Noisy Castle. It looked like something out of a storybook. Tall spires, pointed roofs, and grand staircases that twisted upward like vines. But behind its beauty was a sad and lonely story. The castle was built in 1866 by a rich family called the Liedekerkes. They made it their summer home, far away from the noise of the city. The rooms were full of chandeliers, fancy furniture, and paintings. Kids played in the gardens, and parties filled the halls. But during World War II, everything changed. The family ran away, and the castle was taken over by others. Later, it was used as an orphanage, a home for children who had lost their families. But when the orphanage closed in 1980, the castle was left empty. Over time, the roof fell in, the windows broke, and trees began to grow through the floors. Rain and wind wore away the stone walls, and the once beautiful castle became dark and eerie. People said they could hear whispers or footsteps at night. Ghost stories grew around it. Photographers from all over the world came to capture its haunting beauty. Sadly, in 2017, Chateau Miranda was demolished for safety reasons. But even though it's gone, the memory of its fairy tale magic still remains. A reminder that even the grandest dreams can fade with time. It stood proud for more than 100 years and still lives on in every photograph and story told. Krakow Fortress. In the old city of Krakow, Poland, there's a massive system of forts and walls that were built long ago to protect the city from enemies. It's called the Krakow Fortress, and though much of it is silent and forgotten today, its stone walls still stretch across the hills like sleeping giants. The fortress was started in the 1800s when the Austro-Hungarian Empire ruled this part of Poland. They wanted Krakow to be one of Europe's strongest military cities, so they built over 90 forts around the area, with tunnels, bunkers, towers, and cannons ready for battle. Some forts were round, others square, and all were made of strong red brick. Soldiers lived inside them, trained there, and guarded the city day and night. For years, the Krakow Fortress stood as a mighty shield, but as time passed, wars changed. New weapons made the old forts useless, and one by one, they were abandoned. Grass grew over the walls and birds made nests in the towers. Some forts turned into museums or art spaces, but many were left alone, hidden behind trees and forgotten by the world. Today, if you walk around Krakow, you can still find pieces of the fortress. Some are covered in vines, others partly buried. When you step inside, it feels like stepping back in time. The air cool and still, the walls echoing with history. The Krakow Fortress reminds everyone that even when walls crumble, the stories behind them live on. It's not just an old defense system, it's a monument to human strength, fear, and hope. Though much of it sleeps under moss and dust, Krakow's hidden forts still stand proudly after more than a century. The Packard Automotive plant. In the city of Detroit, Michigan, there's a huge abandoned factory that once made some of the world's finest cars. It's called the Packard Automotive plant, and it's one of the largest abandoned industrial sites in the world. When it first opened in 1903, the factory was a symbol of pride and progress. The Packard Motor Company built luxury cars that only the richest people could afford. The factory was massive, valued at more than 3.5 million square feet, filled with machines, workers, and the sounds of engines roaring. It was one of the first factories to use concrete and steel in a modern way, making it a model for future car plants. But as time went on, everything changed. By the 1950s, other car companies grew stronger, and Packard started losing money. In 1958, the company closed its doors, and the once busy factory went silent. For decades, the giant building sat empty. Windows broke, paint peeled, and trees began to grow through the floors. Vandals, artists, and explorers came to see what was left. They found old car parts, dusty offices, and walls covered in graffiti. It looked like a city within a city, huge, empty, and mysterious. The Packard plant became a symbol of Detroit's fall, a reminder of how quickly success can fade. But it also became a favorite spot for photographers and filmmakers who loved its ghostly beauty. Today, parts of the factory have been torn down, while others still stand like a giant skeleton of America's industrial past. Even in ruins, the Packard plant continues to tell a powerful story of dreams built on steel and engines that once roared with pride. Sathorn Unique Tower. In the busy city of Bangkok, Thailand, there's a giant skyscraper that was never finished. It stands tall above the streets, its concrete walls bare and windows missing. Locals call it the Sathorn Unique Tower, but many know it by its eerie nickname, the Ghost Tower. Construction began in the 1990s during a time when Bangkok's economy was booming. The plan was to build a luxury apartment tower, 49 floors high, with swimming pools, marble floors, and a beautiful view of the city. People dreamed of living there, watching the sunset from their balconies. But then came the Asian financial crisis in 1997. Money ran out, workers stopped coming, and the tower was left half-built. Since then, it has stood empty, a gray, hollow shell surrounded by life and movement. For years, people have been fascinated by it. Explorers and photographers sneak inside to climb its hundreds of steps. From the top, you can see all of Bangkok, shining and alive below, while the tower itself feels frozen in time. Some locals say it's haunted, that ghosts live in the empty rooms and staircases. Others say it's a reminder of what happens when greed grows too big. Whether haunted or not, the Sathorn unique tower has become one of Bangkok's most mysterious landmarks. Even though it's unfinished, it's impossible to miss. It stands like a giant shadow in the middle of a glowing city, quiet, strong, and sad. The ghost tower reminds everyone that even the brightest dreams can stop halfway and still leave behind something unforgettable. Canfranc railway station. Deep in the snowy mountains between Spain and France, there stands a massive, beautiful train station. So big it looks more like a palace than a platform. It's called the Canfranc railway station, and even though trains barely stop there anymore, it still stands proudly as one of Europe's greatest forgotten megastructures. The station opened in 1928 and was once the second largest train station in Europe. It had 365 windows, one for every day of the year, 200 rooms, and was almost 800 feet long. Inside, travelers walked across marble floors and under golden lights, while trains from both France and Spain stopped to trade goods and passengers. It was built to show off power, beauty, and connection between two nations. But its glory didn't last long. During World War II, the station became a secret crossing point. Spies, refugees, and even stolen gold from Nazi Germany passed through its tunnels. After the war, train traffic slowly declined, and by 1970, a bridge collapse on the French side closed the international line for good. Since then, Canfranc Station has stood silent. Snow covers its tracks in winter, and vines crawl along the walls in summer. Its long hallways echo with memories, footsteps, train whistles, and whispered secrets from another time. For decades, it was abandoned, but recently Spain began restoring it. Part of it is now turning into a luxury hotel, while the rest remains a haunting reminder of its past. Canfranc Railway Station is a place where beauty, history, and mystery meet. Even after nearly a century, it still stands strong, a ghost palace of the railways watching over the mountains in silence. Across the world, these massive megastructures still stand, empty, silent, yet full of forgotten stories. From the ghost towers of Bangkok to the ruins of Pripyat, each one whispers of power, dreams, and the slow march of time. Once alive with people and purpose, now they remind us that nothing lasts forever, except history itself. Their walls may be cracked, but their stories still echo through time. So the next time you see an old broken building, look a little closer. You might just see the ghosts of a world that once was, and the hope that still remains. Because these aren't just ruins. They're the silent giants that time forgot, but history never will. If you love exploring hidden history and forgotten places, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because the past still has secrets to tell.